Good morning, everybody. We're doing Daily Tanya Live. I don't have the Chayena. What page is it?
Page 15.
15 for the Daily Tanya for Monday.
And it's Parsha Akev.
So the Tanya for Monday, the 17th of the month of Av and the 11th of the month of August. Monday's portion, very fascinating summary of today's Tanya. So, just to understand where we came from, where we're going to.
Sorry, stuff.
You don't need Zoom. You're here. Yeah. Those that know. All right. All right. We were discussing for a few days. You should X out. What are you going on? X out. You're here. You don't need to be in there. All right. So sorry for the delay. Basically, we started with we're trying to understand the way God interacts with the world. To do so, we use a few metaphors, and the famous one that the Torah talks about is the famous one the Torah talks about is God spoke the world into being, speech. And we brought how speech is really made up of a couple of components, right? In general, the idea of anthropomorphism, of speaking about God in human terms. How do we have the right to do that? The reason is because the Torah says that man is created in the image of God. So even though there's a vast, infinite chasm between the human, physical, even mental, faculties and God, but at least we're like symbols. The same way, like a number is a symbol for a concept of a number, or the letter A is a symbol for the sound A. We're at least symbols of God. So we take the idea that the Torah speaks the language of man, says that God spoke the world to being, and we're going to unpack that metaphor in the human realm and then apply it, obviously, with the caveat of a large difference of the divine version of our speech and God's speech. Okay. But we said our speech, very, very short, is made up of a couple of things. First of all, there is the content of the speech. There's the idea that is embodied by the speech. That would be kind of the soul of the speech. Then you have the letters of the speech. The letters are the medium that, whether through symbolism or whatever, they are the medium to convey the idea. But then you have the most, I'd say, physical or the most corporeal aspect of the letters, and that is that they're breath. It's breath manipulated by the sound parts of the mouth, right? It's like a flute. It's like there's breath, and it's being manipulated to a certain sound. And that would be kind of the body of the letters. So we spoke. Why did we speak about that? I'm just trying to see. We're saying we're applying that to God. Oh, because we spoke about how the Talmud said that this world was created with the letter Hey. And the spiritual world, which there's infinite amount of spiritual worlds, but the spiritual worlds, good morning, Gary.
Good morning.
The spiritual worlds are created from the letter Yud. And the Yud is it's a letter, but it's kind of a very portal letter because it has, it's only a dot. It's kind of formless. But the letter Hey is called a light letter because Hey is just breath, really. Hey, huh. So it represents the idea of kind of the physicality of aspect of speech. Out of all the letters, that's why this physical world is created, it says in the Talmud, by the letter Hey, because of all the letters, it's the most breath, it's the most physicalized version of the speech, where the breath and the breath aspect is most seen. So, how does this tie into what we were talking about? Oh, so now, just trying to get my bearings, excuse me. Oh, after this very long explanatory introduction about the saying of the sages that, again, the physical world that we know is created with God, the letter Hey, and the world to come, the spiritual world, is created with the letter Yud. And we did a little exploration of the nature of the Hebrew letters and about speech, the human speech as a symbol for the divine speech, and there's different aspects. Now we're going to go back to the time. This is a communal letter. A communal letter means he's writing it to get his flock to do something. In this case, this is a charity letter to collect charity for the poor people of Israel. Oh, so now we're going to get back to, this is very much a classic way I think Hasidus operates. It starts with a question, it detours to a whole idea, usually a metaphysical idea, to probe it and understand it, and then it gets back to something more practical. It ties in the esoteric into the pragmatic. Let's talk about another metaphor we use in Hasidus about, imagine a genius, imagine Einstein, or in Torah, the rugged Shavar Goin, great genius of the early 1900s in Torah. They say about the rugged Shavar Goin, or by Yosef Rosen, that I think the Rebbe said he could fit like two Einsteins into them. Imagine that he has so much depth and every word is laced with reference and this, that, and he wants to put his big idea into one word, which, Gary, I think we've talked about. Today's seems to be a literary mechanism, for when they do biographies of like people now. It's one word. It's very like edgy and bold, like Prince Harry, spare. They did Clinton's latest biography, Citizen. It's like one word is like, it's very like all this, like this person's life story, you're trying to cram into one like jam-packed, evocative word. So, anyways, so maybe that's similar. Imagine though, the Einstein or a great Talmud sage trying to give an idea. He says one word. Like they asked by Steinsaltz, it's like, could you sum up the Rebbe's accomplishments? He's like, I can't do it into one word, but he tried to give it into two words, two ideas. I'm not gonna get into what they were. But the point is, when you do that, you take a genius idea, which is so much ink and pages, and you put it into one word, that's a contraction. That's a tremendous symptom. It's a tremendous contraction, jamming a lot of content into one starting point or one, starting word. So too, we can say by Hashem. Hashem is infinite wisdom. And Hashem says he jammed it into one word. It says in the Torah, Behi baram, and he created them with the letter Hey. As back to the Talmud said, that the letter Hey is the letter that in a sense encapsulates everything in the world. The letter Hey, this actually says in the Torah in Genesis 2:4, Behi baram. This is the legacy of the heavens and the earth. Behi baram, when they're created. After it goes through the 6 days, then it recaps, says, this is the legacy when they were created. Behi baram. Behi baram could also be Behei baram. With a Hey, he created them, which goes back to the thing of that God created the world with the letter Hey. The letter Hey, interesting, we know the metaphor of speech. If you ask anybody, where do you see speech? God created the world through speech. The 10 utterances, let there be light, let there be a firmament, let there be whatever. And even the word voracious is one of the 10. It's not a yihi, let there be, but it's voracious is it says in the Talmud that was okay. But that all actually comes before those 10 utterances. They all come from the hey. The hey is like a pre-word letter before you even have the 10 utterances. Going back to we spoke before, the hey is the hay is the breath. Breath is kind of the corporeal form of speech. So it makes sense that you have 10 utterances, but if you want to get more elemental, they go back to a letter hey, which is this hey, a breath letter. Okay, but let's tie this back to practicality. Back then, when God created the world, it was done through whatchamacallit. It was done through the 10 utterances, and it was done uninitiated. There was no man to deserve or to evoke any of God's kindness or mercy. There was nothing. God, uninitiated, created the world, right? As we say, one of the reasons that's given in the philosophers, in the Jewish philosophers, of why God created the world, ki chafetz chesedu, because God desires kindness. He doesn't have to be a reason. He's just so kind, he will create and create and create and make. His kindness and expansive creation is two sides of the same coin. If you're very kind, you're very expansive. You create. So God's kind, so God creates. And we know another famous line, quoted a lot, even in Jewish songs, Olam chesed yibana. The world is built with kindness. It's not just that you need kindness makes the world go round, but it's that if God wasn't kind, then there's no deservance, there's nothing. There's just God initiating. And that actually connects to the idea of another little cool thing, Bihi Baram, which we said is a quote from Genesis 2:4, where it summarizes, this is the legacy of the heavens and the earth, Bihi Baram, when he created them. We already showed that he created them with a hey. You can also learn to sing out from that word. Bihi Baram, if you do an amalgam of those letters, it becomes Avraham. That God, the legacy of heaven and earth, with the Avram. Avram was the personification of absolute kindness. He would even give food, drink, and spiritual guidance to the most undeserving pagans in the desert. Okay, but that was then. God created the world. God created the world with kindness, but now once he created human beings, and it's a partnership that we do our best and we partner with God to bring, God's energy and flow in a deservant way to the world, then we have to deserve on some level, obviously on a very little level, because whatever we do is a drop in the bucket compared to God. But we have to do something to be a catalyst for God's continuous kindness that chesed animates the world. And what is that? That is our kindness, our tzedakah, our kindness. That's why it's the Rebbe would quote in the Gemara Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Talmud, when they say the word mitzvah on like what type of mitzvah, they just say mitzvah stam. They don't specify. It means tzedakah, because in a sense, tzedakah is like the mitzvah that keeps the creation alive.
Don't they also say that a mitzvah, whenever you do a mitzvah, it's not like you're getting something back for it, but tzedakah, you can actually tell Hashem, I'm giving this.
That's true. Right, but I think we're going different
okay.
angle here. I think. I mean, it could be it's connected, but I have to think about it. So this is again, the Alter Rebbe is giving this incredibly deep, novel, erudite treatise about God, the cosmos, and creation, and the different aspects and metaphors. But it comes back to he's trying to get his followers to give charity, and this is very hard in Russia to give charity when they were poor also. But he's explained to them that when you give tzedakah, particularly to the destitute, right? And you're not so nitpicking, oh, this guy deserves it. You give freely. Essence, you're embodying a God, one of God's hallmark traits of unrestrained giving. And this is a cool thing. I enjoyed this. I read this today. It says, he's saying, let's say a person says, you know what? That's a great mitzvah. It's the mitzvah, is tzedakah. But there's another the mitzvah, and that's Torah. I'm going to learn Torah, and that'll be my pathway to God. So it says that whoever learns Torah but does not involve themselves in acts of kindness, their Torah, they don't really even have real Torah. Why? So explain. This is not just like a nice pithy saying. It's actually a. Did I use that right, Mike? Pithy? I think so. I'm not sure. It's actually it's a true idea. It's a very precise idea, which is that what Torah. When you learn Torah, you're essentially embodying God's chachma, God's wisdom. Now, God created the world with wisdom, and I don't want to get into it, but it's one of the on the train stop of the God energy coming to the world. It's one of the very important components. It's the first kind of portal of God's manifestation is through chachma, through that flash of divine wisdom. Okay. However, you could have wisdom, but it might not get manifest down here. Like you're trying to take divine infinite wisdom and make it real in this world. Wait a second. Who says chachma? Chachma does not need to come down. A genius could live in their own world. You want to bring God's genius wisdom to the world? Who says it's going to? It could live in the world of it can live in the kind of the ether of ideas. So we say you have to couple the chachma, which is very important. It's a portal to like higher than the conscious. Chachma is the portal of the consciousness to higher, to the subconscious, and apply that to God as well. But if you want to bring that down into a very physical way, you got to have chesed. Chesed is the aspect of God that brings the high to the low. And this is just to end up with a great line, how he ties this. Everything that Alter Rebbe says in Chassidus is all found in the earlier sources, in Talmud, and even in Tanakh. So we say in Jeremiah, he says in Jeremiah 9:22-23, let the wise not glory in his wisdom. Rather, let the one who glories glory in this, ... for I am the Lord who acts with kindness. The emphasis, it says, like a smart man might say, I'm so smart, I'm a genius Torah scholar. Don't glory in that. Glory in what's the end of it? Glory in that, in the God who does kindness. Because if you have kindness, that draws God's wisdom into you and then into the world. But if you don't have the kindness, he plays a play in words. Al yisal achacham b'chachmasei. Let the wise not glory in his wisdom. It'll be your wisdom. It won't be God's wisdom. You want to bring it down, you got to couple it with charity. Incredible. Okay. I'm going to have to do a short, I only have 10 minutes to do a chumash. It's a quick one. Hashem is kind. The Lord is kind.
What page?
I don't have the Chayenu with me. I left it at home.
All right, I've got it. Let me in front of me. I'll have to find it.
Okay, I do have it now. I'm at my mother's house. She gets to have the live class once in a while.
Well, right, I guess she's earned it.
Okay, actually, we have to re-record.